Brad, I think you're muted. Are you muted? Nope, not yet.
Does that help?
Yep.
All right. Good afternoon and welcome. I am Brad Stratton with Overland Park Wealth Management, and I also serve as the chair of the Overland Park Chamber of Commerce Foundation. And it is my honor to welcome you to the Overland Park Chamber Foundation's virtual graduation ceremony for the 37th graduating class of Leadership Overland Park, class of 2020. As always, we couldn't accomplish our mission without the generous support of our Chamber annual partners and sponsors. We thank our corporate partners, Advent Health, Black & Veatch, Central Bank in the Midwest, Empower Retirement, HCA Midwest Health, and T-Mobile. And our corporate sponsors are Affinis Group, the Corp, Community America Credit Union, Evergy, FNBO, First National Bank of Omaha, Holston Siepken, J.E. Dunn Construction Company, Johnson County Community College, Kansas Gas Service, McCown Gordon Construction, St. Luke's Health System, University of Kansas Edwards Campus, and the University of Kansas Health System, and our Leadership Circle sponsor, Adams Gabbard. Leadership Overland Park was created to develop leaders for our community and inspire them to be catalysts for a positive change. Founded back in 1983, Leadership Overland Park has graduated more than 930 alumni who provide leadership in Overland Park business community, as well in the private, public, and not-for-profit organizations. This year, the Overland Park Chamber celebrates 37 years of providing participants the opportunity to learn from Overland Park's leaders and participate in open dialogue with them about a wide array of community issues. Through this program, participants have gained both a broader and deeper understanding of local, regional, and statewide issues. They've explored leadership development, personal growth, and developed peer contacts, friends that they will engage for many years to come. Since the program's inception, our graduates have spread throughout the community, providing leadership and needed resources to a number of worthy groups across the spectrum. While the Chamber itself has benefited greatly from having LOP alums on committees and boards, currently 38% of the Overland Park Chamber board is an LOP graduate. Our goal is much broader. We have alumni who have served on the Overland Park Planning Commission, Overland Park City Council, the Johnson County Board of Commissioners, area school boards, and the Kansas Legislature. And there are many more serving on boards and committees throughout the metro area. Graduation today is the culmination of an intensive program that encompassed 10 full-day sessions over a period of what typically would have been 6 months, but due to COVID-19, this has been extended over an 11-month time frame this year. Beginning in January, the class of 2020 began to identify community needs and challenges and successes that shaped Overland Park. Sessions focused on specific aspects of Overland Park and our region, including city, county, and state government, history, education, public safety, politics, healthcare, social services, and economic development. The program started off as an in-person program with in-person sessions, but the pandemic forced us quickly to shift to a virtual or hybrid sessions for the remainder of the program. During the more than 85 hours that they committed to this program, class members traveled to Topeka, the Overland Park Arboretum, several elementary, middle, and high schools throughout Overland Park. They discussed strategic community issues with members of our City Council and County Commission, city and county managers, community volunteers, educators and students, legislators, and lobbyists. Many of these Leadership Overland Park graduates then returned to share their experience and their expertise learned with the class. As with many of our chamber programs, Leadership Overland Park's success comes from a dedicated group of volunteers who organize these sessions. I would like to thank all LOP alumni who have helped in any way with the planning of these sessions. These LOP alumni, of which you will soon be one, have shared their time and with the Chamber to make this year's sessions relevant and inspiring to the members of the class. We also want to extend our appreciation to the members of the Overland Park Chamber Foundation Board who make this program possible. And now it is my pleasure to introduce today's keynote speaker, Mary Birch, who serves as the Government Relations Coordinator with Lathrop GPM. Mary is no stranger to the Overland Park community and the metro region as a whole. From the year 1984 to 2002, Mary served as the president of the Overland Park Chamber of Commerce, where she led the growth of the organization, directed day-to-day business operations, and led government relations efforts as well. Mary was named Johnson Countyan of the Year by the Johnson County Community College Foundation in 2002. Please join me in welcoming Mary Birch to our virtual stage. Welcome, Mary.
Oh, Celia, I love the applause. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I am so honored to be able to do this. This is my first time. Absolutely to all of you, congratulations. 85 hours is a lot to put into a commitment to the future of our community. And each one of you is to be commended for that, as those who nominated you and supported you through this effort. I'm going to just take a few minutes to talk about a few things near and dear to my heart. I think it might be helpful to you to know that, and I told this to Tracy the other day, one of the best things that chambers of commerce and other nonprofit organizations have done in the last 50 years is establish leadership development programs. I think a lot of leaders from the greatest generation recognized that they were going to be needing someone to take over and take the reins. And in order to make that work, they needed a development. I'm sure through the history of Overland Park that you learned about a gentleman by the name of Ben Craig, who is literally one of the founders of this city and of this chamber and the county. And Mr. Craig sat me down one time and I had gone off to chamber school and I came back. I was a yippy little 30-year-old that was just hanging around my predecessor going, and then we have to do this, and then we have to do this, and then we have to do this. Leadership Georgia was the first leadership program in the country. And the second one was actually Leadership Garden City, Kansas. And from there, we all got the idea. Olathe started one, and then Mr. Melanthe allowed me to have my fun, as he called it, and start a he called it the Little Leadership Program in Overland Park. And as you can see, you don't think about these things until 37 years later when, you know, you're teaching people or talking to people who could be your grandchildren, but you know that we need this program to help our community move forward and to move forward successfully. I think the politics of the last 4 or 5 days would tell you how important leadership and participation in the process are as we go forward. So that's kind of a little bit about the history, but and I know you learned a lot about Overland Park's success and economic development and particularly quality of life. But I think the big question today for all of you is, you know, now what? You go through a little bit of withdrawal because you're used to seeing your new friends every month and getting to know them and learning something, pretty much of a deep dive down into a lot of heavier issues and areas that impact our community every single day. And it's stuff, I mean, you know, nobody ever thought you'd really be interested in whether we had a 36-foot wide street or whether it's a 37-foot wide street. But, you know, all of those things came for a reason. And I think now it's kind of finding out what's next. And maybe there's some step-by-step that can be helpful. First of all, you don a mantle of responsibility as you finish today, in the fact that somebody knew that you could lead and knew that you could find something to be passionate about. And so, you know, my best advice to you is to find your passion. I think that it can be anything because everything helps. We need people to get engaged in all kinds of things. I think you need to think about how this approaches you. There's two things I would recommend. Today, you know, you all can talk about, and I'm sure you've talked about in your class, that you have had mentors. And a lot of us have had many mentors, depending on the various stages of our lives. And now, typically, my bet is some of you are already mentoring, but you will continue to mentor and be asked to mentor. And that's how this continues on, with the alumni getting engaged in the community, but also keeping the class going. But I think there's two things before you do. Again, I'm a big proponent of Ed O'Malley and the Leadership Center. I believe everybody can lead. And I believe that leadership is action. And that's some of what causes problems in communities, when nobody takes action or nobody has the courage to take action. But before you start out, maybe work on a couple of things that have helped me in my whole life. Shortly after becoming the chamber exec, and I don't know if anybody's ever told you that, but after my predecessor passed away, the chairman came to me and said, "Would you like the job?" And I said, "Oh yeah, sure." And he said, "Can you do the job?" And I lied that I could do the job of chamber president. And I said, "But you have two problems." And he said, "What are they?" And I said, "My gender and my age." And he said, "Well, how old are you?" And I said, 31. And he told the board that I was 35. So we celebrated my 50th birthday a little early for me. But anyway, that helped me get the job, because he told them I was 35 years old instead of 31. But when I took the chamber job, I had learned from a very good friend that one of the things that he lived by was called a personal code of conduct. And I wrote a personal code of conduct when I was 31 years old. I've adjusted it a little, but it was my absolutes. It's where there's no gray area. It's where it set me up with my principles, my leadership style, and everything as I wrote that personal code of conduct. Like, I will always be fiscally responsible and not, run the chamber into the hole. Or I will always vote, or I will always learn from my mistakes, or whatever those things are that make you who you are and are your line crossing points of, I won't go over that line. This is who I am. This is who I believe I am. And I won't go past that line. And that has served me very well through my entire career, and through the opportunities I've had to work with people like Brad and Tracy and others to build this community and to continue to build it. Some of us have that community building passion. We're absolutely nuts over it because we get it. 10 years in the life of a city is really not very long. 20 years isn't that long. And we're only 60 years old. But if you take that time to look in the mirror and say, here's who I am and here's what has to happen, it will help you as you do lead and as you do act on behalf of this community. I think the second thing is to have a personal board of directors. I have been on several, and I know Tracy's on several, but this is a group of people somewhere between 5 and 7, 5 to 10 actually, who know you really, really well, who care about you enough to say, you're way off. No, you don't want to do that. No, or yes, this is good for you. They will be honest with you, because so many of us who go into leadership or who are leading in our companies, we get a lot of yes people, and that makes us feel really, really good. But it's the person who really cares about you who's going to look you in the face and say, and they don't really meet together, but they each bring, like, I have someone who's on my personal board of directors who's a member of my family, because that's very important to me. But I have people who know me, who understand where I would be good, where I would not be good, and who I can talk to and say, oh my gosh, should I take this client? Should I think about this? I'm making a big career change. I'm trying to do something different. What do you think? It's just a board of advisors, and I call them my personal board of directors, and I rely on them heavily. And I try to help other people with that kind of thing when they ask for counsel and advice. When you head out, and all of you have been doing this, it is obviously very helpful in the terms of leadership to build yourself a really good network and to become highly educated and informed on whatever area it is you find your passion. Nothing can beat knowledge. We can put on stiff suits and we can act really important and we can do this, that, and the other. But the best way to win at the table, and particularly the table of compromise, and this is something If you don't know him very well, you have to admire about Brad Stratton, because he is one of the best leaders I know in bringing people to action and bringing them to compromise. And today that word compromise is just absolutely almost non-existent. And I'm hoping that your group will bring that word back to our community and will help move things forward, because in some places nothing moves because no one is willing to compromise. So the education and the information, I think the biggest thing that is facing the community, and it probably can be your most frustrating in my mind and in watching what we have, it's the, I guess the best way I could say it is, you know, 25 or 30 years ago, a whole bunch of people, and they were mostly guys at the time, but sat at a table and decided that College Boulevard would be College Boulevard. It didn't just happen. You know, it was a lot of work, but it came. The people sitting on 135th Street, somebody let them into Overland Park. They wanted them to be there. And they let them in because they wanted to share a high quality of life. And so when people come out and say, oh, well, you can't, you got to understand, most of what's happened in this community happened for a reason and happened with a lot of work. And today, because it's so nice, we are of the attitude of, oh, ho hum, another national award for our city, ho hum. And I got to tell you, folks, that apathy is hurting us right now, and it's going to hurt us in the future. And if anything comes out of what you've learned or everything, it is to help us, help this community not be apathetic. 10% or 12% turnout in an election only elects minority people, the people with the noise. It doesn't elect positive people who really want to get things done and take care of us. So if you understand that it's your group that is going to be needed to step forward to get rid of the ho-hum and to keep people excited about what's going on in this community and how important everything is that you all know and have learned, then getting rid of or tackling apathy, I think, is the #1 issue in Overland Park and Johnson County right now, because it has a lot to do with the direction that we head in many different areas. We've got a great city here. There's a reason for all of it. And obviously there's a reason you went through Leadership Overland Park. I am very excited because I always like to get my hands on the new faces. And this is an offer Tracy knows I always make. I'm a networker and I'm a relationship builder and I'm a big matchmaker, not romantically, but other kinds of matchmaking. And if I will buy anybody a cup of coffee or a Diet Coke or whatever, if they want to chat about what they might do in the future or where there might be an opportunity to engage or any kind of help or advice that I can give you. Somebody did that for me along the way. And it really does help. It keeps us focused and it really helps us. The idea is as you graduate today, and I ask this of every elected official, as you graduate today, you walk out the door saying, okay, what will my legacy be? Thank you very much. I'm so honored to have been here. Have a great graduation.
Thank you, Mary. Wonderful, Mary. Thank you very much. We all truly appreciate your many years of service, vision, dedication, leadership, and I'm going to add arm twisting to all the attributes to this community. I'm on a very long list of those who look to Mary as a mentor, and thank you very much. You've been very helpful as I've navigated these volunteer roles that I've agreed to take on through thick and thin. So thank you, Mary. Appreciate that. And thank you for your words of wisdom today. It's appreciated.
Thanks, everybody. Congratulations.
Now I'd like to introduce Tracy Osborne-Olchin, the President and CEO of our Chamber of Commerce, for the presentation of the Leadership Overland Park Class of 2020. Please join me in welcoming Tracy to our virtual stage.
Thank you so much, Brad. And I'll just add my name to the list of people who have also been part of that arm twisted club of Mary's. It really is an honor to share today's program with the two of you, Brad and Mary, who are two of my very favorite community leaders. And just to use Mary's phrase, I guess it's because we're all nuts about community development. And I think that probably every single person who is on today's Zoom to celebrate this Leadership Overland Park class, we probably are all in that same category, because either you are an LOP alum, or you care very much about community development and you're supporting someone who went through this LOP class, or you just care about the topic in general, or you wouldn't be part of the chamber. So thanks to all of you for being part of this very special event today. Mary, thank you so much for your remarks. They are spot on and inspirational, and more than anything, I think it's appropriate to pause just for a moment and thank you for bugging Dick Malamphy until he let you start Leadership Overland Park back in 1983. I mean, you have influenced decades of leaders who not only have impacted Overland Park, but certainly other parts of our region, and who knows, all across the country where they have gone since the 80s. And so we appreciate very much what you did with just that one activity, let alone the countless others. And Brad, a special thanks to you for stepping into the leadership role of the Chamber's Foundation after the death of our then chair, Rick Worrell, our good friend. I know that he would be extremely pleased that you stepped into this role to take us to the next level with the foundation. And to everyone who is with us today, thank you so much for joining us. I really miss seeing all of you in person. And I'm so glad that you joined us to help us celebrate this very special class. And I know what a lot of you are thinking. If you come to the graduation every year, you're going to say, she always says that. Every class is special to me, but this class especially is because they have done something that no other class has done before. They really rose to the occasion when the pandemic hit, when they were not quite to the halfway point. They demonstrated from the very beginning that they were very talented and engaged in every single one of the topics that was presented to them, but they had to be truly intentional about that engagement when the pandemic hit and everything changed. And they had to learn right along with us about how we all were going to work together to create meaningful LOP experiences in a virtual environment. And that was not easy. As you all know in your own businesses, we had to really learn on the fly. I want to give a very special recognition at this time to Celia Fritz Watson, because she was the one who had to figure it out very quickly. She is behind the scenes of not only all of our events, but she's the director of Leadership Overland Park. And, you know, first of all, I don't even know how to figure out all of the clapping that you're hearing. So I couldn't even do that. But she's the one who figured out how to make hybrid classes work and then all virtual classes work when the COVID numbers started going up. And so she mastered both the technology and changing the agendas, sometimes several times in a week, to make it all happen, to get the right kind of content to the class so that we could still deliver the experience. So, you know, Celia, I don't know how to make the clapping work, but I'm sending clapping to you. So thank you very much for all of your work in making this class experience still meaningful. Before I present the class to you, I'd like to mention some of the highlights I observed in working with them. First, they embraced the required reading of the book, The Heart-Led Leader by Tommy Spalding, who spoke at our annual meeting a few years ago, and the discussions that we had about it and what it meant to them personally, leading from the heart in their personal lives with their families, but also as Tommy intended it to be throughout their businesses and how it could have an impact with them and their teams. This last Wednesday was our closing session. They learned about the Forward OP initiatives from our very first director of Forward OP, Gary Mevius, and they talked about how we could combine their initial SWOT analysis of Overland Park, our strengths and our weaknesses and our opportunities. That discussion took place 11 months ago, back in January. And so we reviewed what their perceptions were and how they might have changed since then with all of the experiences that they've had in their classes. Most importantly, we talked about how that SWOT analysis and their changing perceptions might have an impact to help us inform our work moving forward with Forward OP and the next 20 to 25 years. I believe, based on all of those conversations, that we can expect really great things from this class. You know, just as Mary said, these members are caring, insightful about all of the community issues that you would expect them to be, but even more than that, lots of issues that may have not originally been on Overland Park's plate. You know, when we contemplated Forward OP, they are really concerned about wellness and diversity, housing, food insecurity. Of course, broadband access is really paramount during this pandemic. And they talk a lot about focusing our use of tax incentives to make sure that we have the kind of community moving forward that we need to take us into the next couple of decades. I'm excited about their future, and that means I'm especially excited about our collective future. So let's meet the class. After 11 long months of waiting, I'm excited to introduce to you the graduates of the 37th class of Leadership Overland Park, the class of 2020. So first, we have Peggy Amor with a Finnis Corp. Scott Archuleta with Great Southern Bank. Katie Banima with Blue Valley School District. Elizabeth Bowden, St. Luke's South Hospital. Eric Bird, BHC Roads. Mark Cole, Spencer Fain, LLP. David Contag, DLR Group. Grant Curtin, Curtin Property Company. That's me. David Dykeman, McCown Gordon Construction. Mary Dykeman, University of Kansas Edwards Campus. John Fales, Circe Financial. Melissa Feld, Empower Retirement. Ashley Felton, Creative Planning. Sylvia Hernandez, Children's Mercy Hospital, Kansas. Eric Houston, Overland Park Police Department. Brian Kelly, Wallace Saunders. John Komaromi, Turner Construction. Michael Koss, City of Overland Park. Eric Craddy, World Class Unlimited Inc. Kyle Lavelle, Burns and McDonnell Engineering Company. Brady Myers, J.E. Dunn Construction Company. Stephanie O'Sullivan, Advent Health Foundation, Shawnee Mission. Chris Powell, Kansas Gas Service. Brett Spence, Black and Beach. Kyle Stepp, KC Hemp Company. Tara Wonke, Community America Credit Union. Sandra Warner, Johnson County Community College. Theodis Watson, Central Bank of the Midwest. Kimberly Wilkerson, Haas and Wilkerson Insurance. Jacqueline Wolf, Emporia State University, Kansas City. Colin Young, Visit Overland Park. There's Colin. We have 5 class members who were not able to join us today, so I want to recognize them. Jacob Hess with United Lex, Mark Johnson, Agenuity, Connie Roquette, Lauren Solidium with Catholic Charities of Northeast Kansas, and Lindsay Stringer with St. Luke's Health System. We send our best wishes and congratulations to all of them. Now please join me in congratulating the 2020 class of Leadership Overland Park. Oh, yay. Well, that's some major cheering. So I am very excited for all of you. Congratulations. And we will be getting you your official certificates. So you know that we really mean it and you don't have to come to class, but you do still have to send your letters to Celia today. You still have that deadline. So the class has selected one individual to represent them today to share their Leadership Overland Park experience as class speaker. So please help me welcome Theodis Watson of Central Bank of the Midwest to our stage. Theodis, it's all yours.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Dear LOP 2020. First of all, out of all the talented people, as you all seen, how did I become the speaker? I'm still trying to figure that out. We have financial professionals, we have educators, we have police officers, we have CEOs of other companies, we have entrepreneurs, construction individuals, and even people in the public sector. I mean, literally, we have an individual who can clap with one hand. We're not naming any names out here, but hey, I know you're out there. But what a year 2020 has been. We've had kids and grandkids being born. The Chiefs won the Super Bowl. And we even had little Patrick, who was born on the Super Bowl, who we have deemed our fearless leader. But on opening retreat, January 15th, who knew that our class would be probably one of the most memorable and impactful classes to come out of the 37 LOP classes, or 900 plus students. Although we were very different in many ways in our profession, positions within our company, nationalities, stages within our career, but one thing that connected us greatly is our hearts. The book, The Heart-Led Leader by Tommy Spalding, as was mentioned earlier, spoke to a lot of us. In fact, Tracy and Celia referenced that many times in our program. And indeed, I believe they were correct. There are many great stories and examples in the Heart-Led Leadership book, but the T. Green story of the Greenway Health resonated with me the most, and can see that in my fellow classmates. The business model, how can I serve today? How can I make someone smile? How can I do right? Were words of a heart-led leader who ran a billion-dollar company. Who knew? To further explain the character of our class, our next session was health and social issues. We had many great organizations come talk about how they were making an impact in the community and all the awesome programs that were available to the Johnson County residents. We were amazed and yet confused at the same time, because who knew Overland Park had that amount of poverty and homelessness in our city? We immediately recognized that these groups are the true heroes, the essential workers, and this is pre-pandemic, right? And the burden they endure day in and day out. Our class recognized this immediately, and our hearts were fully activated and believed that day that was the bond that built us as a collective, and the wheels started spinning and acknowledging it's much bigger than us. Think about it. How can they help their staff? How can we help them with some of the questions that came out of our group? We were just wondering, how were they able to endure the day-to-day activities and still go home and support their families with dinner and taking them to soccer practice. The next session was our education day, and riding the bus to the various schools were quite the experience. But I believe the state government day on March 11th, we had a phenomenal discussion, and the pleasure to hear from Governor Kelly and other government official leaders was very impressive. But I believe the ride home that day was probably the most impressive moment at all. Phones were ringing and pinging, and the conversation shifted from, education to legalizing hemp and the progressive views to how in the earth did they cancel the NCAA tournament? Yes, coronavirus was full in effect. After months and months of chaos that felt more like years, Ms. Watson still found a way to squeeze in sessions and keep the group together as Zoom consumed our lives, as many of us are dealing with today. So thank you, Celia. But in the midst of all that, our leaders like Chris, Sylvia, Brady, and the many others continue to activate the heart and create a legacy Overland Park Chamber Scholarship Fund to fund others' futures in their education. With this scholarship, that's the reason I believe we will be one of the most memorable and impactful classes of the LOP program. Kudos to our team. So everyone on this call, we're not asking you to break open the checkbooks today, but we will need your future, or we need your support down the line in the future to continue to support our future leaders in Overland Park. In closing, in the heart-led leader, inch number 15, generosity, there are two parts of generosity: the compassion that fuels a desire to make a difference, and the commitment that turns that compassion into action. Heart-led leaders take action. They act on the idea of supporting the community that supports. Anyone can sell a widget. Heart-led organizations don't just desire to build a business, but they want to give back to people they serve. Nothing better reveals who you are more than how you give to others. So we thank you, Celia and Tracy, for your commitment to the organization and developing a pipeline of leaders. And we're excited to see the implementation of Forward OP. We thank you, corporate sponsors, for supporting us in our development and allowing us to connect with leaders we see today. To the class of 2020, I challenge you to continue to use your hearts to lead and make change in your respective communities that you serve. Remember, your heart is a superpower to empower, because if you don't advocate for others, think about it, who will? Thank you.
Nice job.
Thank you, Theodis. Thank you for your heartfelt words on behalf of the class. It sounds like you all had a great experience, and one that was truly unique, I'm sure, in the history of Leadership Overland Park. And now to close us out, as in all graduation ceremonies, I've been asked to pass along a charge to you, the LOP class of 2020. There are many pivotal moments in our lives that we will always remember. Some of those moments involve us directly, such as graduations, weddings, the birth of a child, the death of a loved one. And there are other moments in our lives that will be forever etched in our minds, in our hearts, and in our souls, those moments that we experience together as a larger community. Certainly this coronavirus pandemic that we are all experiencing together today is one of those moments that we will all remember for the rest of our lives. We will remember when mask wearing became a requirement as we enter a public building. We will remember when most of us began moving our workplace to our places of home. And for you, the Leadership Overland Park Class of 2020, you will remember what it was like going through this special civic leadership program during a pandemic, a truly unique experience. Hopefully, this Leadership Overland Park experience has been one of those pivotal moments for you, one that you will always remember. And it is these important pivotal moments like these that are so clearly defined, so easily remembered, and they shape who we are. Yet one of the unknown truths of leadership, one that I hope you came to learn and experience this program, is that true leadership very rarely takes place in a definitive, definable, recognizable, pivotal moment. True leadership happens over time through a lot of hard work, energy, and commitment, when no one else is watching, when no one else is listening, and many times when no one else is even aware. But it is times like these, times when we don't even know what lies ahead, such as a pandemic, that true leadership at all levels and all organizations is more important than ever. My hope for you as graduates of this leadership program is that you continually seek out opportunities for leadership, leadership in your businesses, leadership in your local community organizations, leadership in volunteer, appointed or elected roles. They are all important, and they can all benefit from your talents, your perspective, and your leadership. And my charge to you as graduates of the Leadership Overland Park program is to proactively, intentionally, and passionately seek out those leadership roles, those leadership opportunities where you can quietly, humbly, collectively, and passionately make a difference. Sometimes these leadership roles take place in the front of the room. Other times these leadership roles happen in the back of the room. And other times these leadership roles happen in the room next door altogether. Very rarely do these opportunities for leadership come to you. In most cases, you will need to seek them out. And my hope is that your experience in the Leadership Overland Park program has better equipped you to recognize and seek out those leadership opportunities that are best suited for you and where you can make a real difference in your community in the coming years ahead. Lead on, class of 2020. And with that, I'd like to thank Mary Birch for sharing her insights with us today. Thank you to the generous support of our partners and our sponsors once again. Thank you to our corporate partners, Advent Health, Black and Beach, Central Bank of the Midwest, Empower Retirement, HCA Midwest Health, and T-Mobile, and to all of our corporate sponsors and Leadership Circle sponsors. Again, congratulations to the Leadership Overland Park Class of 2020. We are so proud of you, and we'll be watching the many contributions that you make to our community in the coming years. Thank you to all who joined us today. And with that, we are adjourned.